Remove it right now. It's a courtroom, not a parade. That's how it all started, with the judge's voice slicing through the heavy air like a blade. His words ricocheting off marble walls that had heard more sorrow than most folks could stomach. If you'd have told me I'd be standing in a room like that, watching history shake loose from its hinges, I'd have laughed and said you were dreaming. Yet there I was, one of many faces in the gallery, drawn to witness something that felt bigger than any one person, bigger even than justice. Up front, there stood the man everyone was staring at, a stone. If a man could be called that, tall and still, clean-shaven, with that unmistakable bearing of someone who'd spent too many years standing guard over things the rest of us don't even think about. He was in the deep blue uniform of a United States Army tomb guard, his posture square, white gloves folded in front of him, and on his chest, well, that was the Medal of Honor, the real thing, gleaming so bright you'd almost miss the weight behind it. He hadn't come to make a scene, hadn't even come to speak, was just there to quietly support a family, old friends of his whose son, another soldier, had been denied the benefits owed to him after he died in service. But that judge, you know how some folks get drunk on the sound of their own authority? He just couldn't leave well enough alone. I said, remove it, he snapped, louder now, impatience seeping into every word. No unauthorized insignia in my courtroom. People gasped, some shifting in their seats, but the tomb guard didn't so much as blink, just lifted his chin, voice low, steady, the kind of voice you know comes from seeing too much. Your Honor, he said, this is not an insignia. It's the Medal of Honor, awarded in combat. It's not for decoration. It's for remembrance. You could hear a pin drop. Then the judge scoffed, trying to throw his weight around. This isn't Arlington. You're not guarding a tomb. You're in my courtroom. I'm giving you a lawful order. You could see it ripple through the room, veterans in the gallery clutching their hats. A young Marine starting to rise before a bailiff gestured for him to sit. But the tomb guard, he never moved. With that same quiet resolve, he replied, with all due respect, you may command this courtroom, but you do not command this medal. That belongs to the sacrifice of others, those who cannot speak today. I wear it for them. The judge's face turned red, hands tight around the gavel, voice trembling between anger and fear of losing control. If you don't comply, and then it broke. An old man, frail but proud, got to his feet from the back, his hands shaking, but his voice clear as church bells. Your Honor, I am a retired colonel. That man has earned the right to wear that medal in any courtroom, church, or street on this earth. You're not just asking him to remove a pin. You're asking him to forget every brother and sister he buried to earn it. That was the first crack. Then another voice joined in, then another, until the whole gallery, a patchwork of veterans and family members and neighbors, rose to their feet, not with shouts or jeers, but a silent, stubborn kind of defiance that's more powerful than any protest sign. The judge pounded his gavel, voice pitching up. This is a disruption, everyone sit down. But no one did. Not a soul. Even the bailiffs exchanged glances, rooted to the spot, refusing to carry out the order. That's when she stepped forward, a woman, tears streaming down her face, holding up a photo of her son in uniform, beaming with that kind of hope you only see in young soldiers. He served with the man you're threatening, she said. He didn't make a home, but that medal, that honor, that's all I have left of what they stood for. You don't get to erase that. Even the judge, for all his posturing, seemed rattled, hands fumbling, sweat beading on his brow as he looked around for support that just wasn't there. Your career, the tomb guard said, voice soft but carrying, may have climbed from verdicts and decisions. Mine was carved in blood and silence. You may strip my words from the record, but you'll never strip the meaning from this medal. Then, like thunder after a storm, the applause hit, not the rowdy kind, but deep, respectful, fierce, and uncontainable. Cameras caught every second, somebody's phone already streaming, social feeds lighting up in real time as the clip swept across the country like wildfire. By morning, petitions were circulating, call for the judge's resignation ringing out from every corner, veterans across America demanding justice, Gold Star families sharing their stories and rallying behind the silent strength of that one man who wouldn't bend. Within days, the pressure became Too much even for a man used to hiding behind a bench. The judge stepped down, not because of some dark secret, but because he'd failed to understand something simple. That real honor doesn't need permission. That you can't order someone to forget the dead, to let go of the weight they carry for all of us. And as for the tomb guard, went back to Arlington, where the air is always a little heavy, where silence is sacred, and every 21 steps H.E. walks are for brothers he never truly left behind. There, nobody tells him to take it off because everyone understands, even if they don't say a word, that some things you carry aren't just yours, they belong to all of us. So I guess the lesson is this: sometimes real courage doesn't show up with speeches or grandstanding. Sometimes it stands there silent, unyielding, daring the world to do its worst, and when the time comes, it finds a whole crowd ready to stand behind it. Now, before you go, tell me, where are you watching from? If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the judge was right to demand the medal be removed, or was that a line you just don't cross? Let's talk about what honor really means, because in times like these, I think we need to remind each other just what's worth standing for.